Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. Big Dolphins news today. Miami Dolphins restructuring the deal of Tyreek Hill. He is getting oodles of more money from the Miami Dolphins, and the cheetah gets his cheddar. He is not going anywhere. This was a pretty drama-free contract issue. This definitely never reached the level of Tua Tagovailoa. I think that Tyreek Hill should be commended for the way that he went about this. I mean, really vocalized it, but obviously they handle him in camp a little bit differently with his days off and whatnot. But is not doing a hold in, hold out, playing his ass off. Was supportive in the midst of all these contract negotiations of Jalen Waddle getting his money, Tua getting his money, and now he gets a restructured contract, $90 million over the next 3 years, 65 of it guaranteed, and no new years were added to the 4-year deal. This is according to ESPN. So this is good for Tyreek Hill. Drew Rosenhaus getting it done. Tyreek Hill said a couple of weeks ago, he just told Drew Rosenhaus, don't get me traded, bro. Don't get me traded. He likes being in Miami. Obviously, ever since this deal happened where he was the highest paid receiver, then a lot of new receiver deals have been made. This guy was just named the number one player in the NFL, which I have to say was pretty damn cool. You have this top 100 list that comes out. The Miami Dolphins had a lot of representation on there, but to see Tyreek Hill number one on the list, atop Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, atop all the quarterbacks, atop Christian McCaffrey, was pretty badass, because I think one thing that has been just realized by all Dolphin fans, to recall what life was like before the cheetah and the type of receiving talent and offensive talent that had been down here was pretty bland. I mean, a lot of Dolphins games, third quarters were ripe for napville. And then the cheetah comes along and he changes everything. Every time you see him on the field, you're wondering, is he going to go for a home run? Him versus Tua is a sport. Him connecting with Tua is a sports drug that is addictive, and every time you get a piece of it, it's like catnip. You're like, it's incredible. So I'm glad the Dolphins have taken care of everybody of note outside of Javon Holland has really been taken care of this offseason. The Tua deal got done, the Waddle deal got done, and now Tyreek Hill gets his bread, and I imagine there's no drama there to have for the foreseeable future with his Dolphins contract. He tweeted out afterwards. These were the comments from one Tyreek Hill. He says, "I'm here to stay," and then he says, "I promise to give you my all this year." So Cheetah officially locked up with the Miami Dolphins with his extra money. He gets a little boost. And this is an interesting thing because the Miami Dolphins are now in this all in. Right? You had that weird press conference a couple of weeks ago from Jerry Jones where he's like, I'm all in. And yet he's not all in because he hasn't given, as I record this on Saturday, 6:30 p.m., he's not all in. Stephen Ross is all in. Stephen Ross put his chips to the table because, look, Stephen Ross has already invested a lot into this roster. They let Christian Wilkins walk, but a lot could have been said for, you're all here. Go prove it. Go win a playoff game, and we'll see what's what with everybody's deal afterwards. But I do think for the Dolphins standpoint, I don't think Tyreek Hill's slowing down. Mike McDaniel talked about this today. He's not your typical 30-year-old. He's not your typical 5'9" receiver who is just quick as lightning, tough as hell, can jump to the moon. He's just not your typical player. This guy is a unicorn. He is running his way to the Hall of Fame, and he's the Dolphins' best player. I mean, he's not only the league's best player, but he's very clearly the Dolphins' best player. The guy is just dynamite on the field, and he's been a game changer. He brought the Dolphins something that is just, it strikes the fear in every single defense that he's out there. It has made Jalen Waddle even more dynamic and dangerous. Hopefully you have a healthy Odell Beckham that you can add to this, but likely that was going to get awkward and expensive if they did punt on it because of his age. And I don't necessarily think, like, let's just say things went super right. I don't necessarily think he is going to be the toughest thing to trade if it did all go awry. But ultimately, you want to take care of your best player, and that's what he is. And he is now in this position. It is funny to see, though. I mean, I think the things that I've liked about Tyreek Hill, not only on the field but off the field with his personality, has been he is a pot stirrer. He is a pot stirrer, and he likes getting everybody riled up. He loves what does he say on his Twitter? He likes to start bleep and then leave. And then yesterday with this number one, everybody was freaking out because Patrick Mahomes was not number one overall. Now, mind you, I don't know why you're mad at Tyreek Hill. It's voted on by the players, and we could have all these conversations. Tyreek Hill should Patrick Mahomes not be number one of everything? Hey, listen, even as big a cheetah fan as I am, it's a hard argument to win because when you're standing here with back-to-back championships and 3 Super Bowls and 3 Super Bowl MVPs and best QB in the league, it's tough. It's a tough hand to be dealt. But I think that if you're just going off of last year, it wasn't the most impressive Chiefs regular season. I think everybody can agree to that. It's just speaks to their greatness that they were able to overcome that. But Tyreek Hill, I mean, back-to-back record-breaking years for the Miami Dolphins, back-to-back years over 1,700 yards, probably would have hit 2K last year if he didn't get hurt, at least would have flirted with it, and he's the most unstoppable thing in the league. It's understandable to get into your feelings about it because we feel like we have to throw flowers at Patrick Mahomes all the time as if he doesn't get enough praise and love. But be real about it. Like, this guy is, as far as just position for position goes, who is better than this guy? Who is more unstoppable than this guy? Who strikes more fear in the league than this guy? Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams. Come on, man. Like, these guys are good, but there's something about the cheetah when he gets a moving and all the places you could put him and just the quickness of him spinning on a dime and then could just be gone for everything. He's earned all of that. And it was really cool, I think, for the Dolphins fan to see. I was surprised by it for sure. I was like, oh, I thought any award list that comes out, I figure Patrick Mahomes is just going to walk away with it. But the fact that this guy who was so damn good last year, he was so good, he passed his quarterback who at one point was the betting favorite to win NFL MVP, Tua. And then Tua was passed by Tyreek on some weeks on the betting lines. You check this thing every weeks, and to see that he had leapfrogged him in that regard. So I don't know, man. I thought it was really, really cool to see that. Tua, he had a reaction to this at camp today, and he was pretty fired up. This is about as fired up as I've ever heard him talk about the cheetah.
Man, that's my dog. That's my dog. Oh my gosh. I mean, he was excited. We all were in a group chat. We all texted him. Jalen Ramsey, Teron Armstead, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle. Like we were just all congratulating him. There was some funny things that we threw in there just to give him a hard time. But for the most part, that was unbelievable. To have a teammate like that, voted just best in the league. Doesn't get better than that. So
pretty goosies. And I think the thing for Tua, I think he does. There's always is it Tua? Is it Tyreek? Look, Tyreek has definitely been a big part of Tua's renaissance over the last couple of years. There's no denying that. But I think the thing that's funny about it is you act like it has to be an either or thing. We have seen either or, and it is not as crisp. We've seen Tyreek have big games without Tua in a Dolphins uniform, but it ain't quite the same. It ain't quite the same. The way that he can get rid of the ball so quick, get Tyreek in space, and Tyreek just go. It is not quite the same. And so I think that you could hear some appreciation there for Tua, because Tyreek has always publicly had Tua's back. He had his back publicly when he first got here, when he said he was more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. He had his back with all the contract talks. He had said even back at minicamp that Tua should have been paid already. And that was with knowing that he was going for some Dolphins cheddar as well. So he gets his deal. Waddle gets his deal. Dolphins. Hey, the figureheads haven't paid. The Dolphins made a choice. Are they going to pay Christian Wilkins? No. But they came back after all this talk. Hey, they don't pay their own guys. They paid their franchise quarterback. They paid their best player. And they paid their number 2 wide receiver. They put their money where their mouth is. And now, as this has been said many times, like there's nothing to complain about. There's nothing to bitch about. There's nothing to throw out there and say, oh, this is distracting my head. Tua said today, like, oh, does this take a burden off your plate that the contract's done? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Because no one's going to want to hear it anymore. No one is going to sit here and want to hear that, oh, there's distractions because I don't have this. Everybody seemingly left on the roster, outside of Snowman, everybody's got what they want. Everybody who's up for it got their bread. Everybody who wanted to get paid this offseason that was filled with a little bit of drama is taken care of. Now it's upon the Dolphins to go out there and earn that massive amount of money that they've all been thrown this offseason.